live and online. It's Sleepless with Steve and the Movie Book Club with your host, Steve Pulaski.
Back without Steve, but you got me and you got Dom. It's been a while since I've been on air, and there was no show last week, right? Like it's because you had to go see what you're about to talk about in just a few minutes. But yeah, we're here. It's Sleepless without Steve, as we call it when he's not here. Live on YouTube every Wednesday from 6:30 Central Time to 7:30 Central Time. You got me and Dominic Guanzon in the blue polo here to talk about a lot of stuff. I don't know why the scroll isn't up. Why isn't this thing going? That's weird. Well, then it's a surprise what we're talking about today. I mean, you probably know just from the title of the stream. I have to fix that then. That's weird. But yeah, Steve unfortunately is out today. Nothing's wrong. I think he just had a birthday obligation to go to, if I'm remembering this correctly. Given the fact that I went on Facebook and saw it was a certain person's birthday, and I went, that's probably why he's not here. But you got me and Dom tonight. We'll be talking about something. I don't know if we'll do the whole show, because we don't have too many things to talk about other than the movie that we're reviewing tonight. And not that, I'm not saying this is a bad thing, but, I don't know how long we're going to go on talking about the movie for as well. We might geek out over it. I don't know. We might not. But in the meantime, let's catch up, because it's been a while since I've seen this gentleman here in the blue polo. Dom, how are you doing?
I am doing quite all right. It is tiring. It is the holidays, and that is a big uptick in work for me, like my day job. So I'm outside a lot more on top of some of the regular responsibilities that I have to do to prepare for it. So, just being outside, trying to not be smelly and dude, when did laundry get difficult? Laundry was so easy for the longest point in my life.
Yeah.
And then just recently, I don't know, it's because I think my standards have just risen on on how many thermals I need to wear and good quality, well-kept clothing I need. But
Yeah.
I don't know. It's becoming a chore, man, which it always was.
I mean, it
but
always
more so
was,
than
yeah.
ever.
Dude, let me tell you, as somebody who okay, so I recently went on a trip. I went to Tennessee. It was a time to just, what sucks about my work is you get your vacation at your 1 year of employment, and unfortunately, I started my 1 year of employment at the end of summer, so I didn't have vacation to really use until the end of summer. So I was couldn't really go anywhere. But what a couple of my friends and I managed to do is that we're like, well, you know what, let's go on down to Nashville. And we got lucky too that at the time we chose for Nashville, Sabrina Carpenter was going to be down there, and we ended up going to see her as well. So we made it like a 3-day getaway where it's
That's awesome, dude.
3 days of the weekday. It was from Saturday till Wednesday. And then Thursday we left. Of just getting to experience Nashville and everything. But let me tell you, going back to the laundry point, and I'll share a bit about me and catch up and everything. Dude, after going on that trip, I was already leaving the house with a laundry load that needed to be washed, and I just fell behind on it because of work and everything. Now that I came back from a trip, now there's just another laundry load on top of that. And then this weekend, I'm busy both Saturday and Sunday for predominantly most of the day. And it's I'm going to have to find time when I come home from work, after either working out, filing bills, all this stuff, to be oh, shit, I got to do laundry as well. And it shouldn't be a hard thing to do, but man, when you do laundry, Dom, I got to ask you, do you do laundry to where it's you throw in the washing machine, you throw it in the dryer, and somehow in the same day you're able to fold it all and put it away? Or are you like me where it's I get in the washing machine, I get in the dryer, tomorrow though is when I fold it and put it away, because it's just go on.
Because we are working adults with lives and things to do and people to see and experiences to experience.
Yeah.
Yes, I am also like that, where I do.
Dude, because I remember, I forgot who tweeted this. I think it's a content creator. Now she's actually a legit actress, Alana Pierce. She tweeted this where she
I remember her Funhouse days, and
Yep.
she's awesome.
She was on Funhouse. She was on. She used to be an IGN reporter. Then she was part of Rooster Teeth, aka or not AKA, but Rooster Teeth's sub like channel called Funhouse. She eventually became a game developer, all that stuff. But she tweeted out one time, and ever since she tweeted this out, it's always spoke to me. If you know someone who washes their clothes, folds them, and puts them away in the same day, they are a psychopath. If they're an adult and they're able to do that all in one day still while working and everything.
100%.
But yeah, anything else you want to get us caught up on with you, Dom?
Other than I don't even know how many shows I can do this year right now. Like it's up in the air.
Dude, I mean,
Um,
I get you. If there's one thing I'm thankful for, I'll go into a little bit of just catching me up and everything. If there's one thing I'm thankful for is Steve is like not so crazy about this show to where he's like, no, we're doing a Wednesday show before Thanksgiving. No, we're doing a Wednesday show the week of Christmas. We're doing one on New Year's Eve. Because it is nice to have 3 days off of this thing, and it's also nice that like three of the movies we have left to review this year that we have at least lined up are streaming releases. That it's like I don't have to leave my house because this is a time that it gets busy for me too. Just holidays alone, but also work starts to ramp up where I'm at, where it used to be the opposite for a period of time, where it's like it used to be quiet, but now budget season plays a whole new factor at my workplace to where it's like December now is like us preparing for all that and a bunch of other stuff. Um, but the reason why I've been gone for 2 weeks, yeah, like I said, I went to Nashville. I gotta say, man, I don't get the Nashville hype. I don't like, it's I was walking up and down the street and I just kind of felt to myself, I'm like, I feel like places like Austin, Texas and other bar towns have just done this better to where it's not a very it's not like every bar is playing country music 24/7. Not that I have a problem with country music, but when it's just a street littered with it, it's like, okay, like this is kind of getting obnoxious when every guy is sounding the exact same way at every bar and every microphone playing the same chords on the guitar. But I did get to see Sabrina Carpenter. That was fun. I got to go to a Bears game, which I haven't done since God 2002. I don't know. I think that's the last time I went to a Bears
that's
game.
a long time. I didn't think it'd
Yeah,
be that long.
yeah, yeah. No, I rarely went when I got older because I liked the Bears when I was growing up, but I wasn't loving them. It wasn't until like I went away to college and Steve and I really started talking about it, especially that 2018 season where it looked like, oh, hey, this is a playoff team and everything. That's when I fell in love with them all over again. And then, but I still just didn't have time to like, one, didn't have time, didn't have money. I was a college kid. Pandemic happened, and then like I was just like, I just don't really have the time to go see one. But because I was on vacation, I decided, yeah, let me take advantage of it right now before I go back to work. Let me go to a game because I'm liking what I'm seeing this year. But also, it'll be nice to end my vacation with this. And it ended with a comeback win, which was cool. But yeah. So other than that, though, the other week when I couldn't make it for, I think it was a House of Dynamite. Oh yeah, dude, I was super busy that day with work, family obligations as well. This year has not been kind to me. It hasn't been kind to the world as well, as we all know. Um, so I'm happy that like once a week I do the show like this. I get to catch up with you guys, shoot the shit, and talk about a movie. But Dom, I know you got something to talk about that I didn't see, but you did, and I'm gonna let you have the floor for right now.
Yeah, thank you very much. It's actually the reason why we didn't even have a show last week when we were originally planning on it. But during one of my excursions to the ICE staging area slash de facto detention center in Broadview, Illinois, I got to talking to one of the volunteers working the mutual aid station that had been camped out there for a month. That is until its removal via malicious enforcement on October 30th by the village of Broadview, but that's beside the point. Regardless, the station's two tents provided a plethora of valuable services for those protesting just a couple hundred feet away. They included eye flushing for people struck with tear gas, water, snacks, first aid, shade to stay cool, campfires to stay warm, protective gear to loan out, a notice board for protest information elsewhere, a rallying point for groups, and simply a place to rest. As intense as all of it was, the volunteer I spoke with was used to dispensing food and water since they had a background as a Starbucks barista. That's when I found out about how much of a phenomenon the unionization of the coffee giant has been in just the past few years, rising to 655 unionized shops out of approximately 18,300 stores in the United States. That's over 14,000 individual workers now part of a Starbucks union, according to unionelections.org, with more elections happening every month. The mutual aid volunteer at Broadview then pointed me towards a screening of the documentary, quote, Partners, How Starbucks Baristas Started a Labor Revolution. And that screening was at Columbia College's Film Row Cinema in the Loop. Located on the eighth floor of 1104 South Wabash Avenue, I stepped out of the elevator to a theater lobby buzzing with energy. It turns out that a potential nationwide strike was in the works should contract negotiations fail. And let me just say, that is tomorrow is the deadline here, 11/13, which is Red Cup Day, Starbucks Red Cup Day, where they unveil the design of the fancy new plastic red cup, and then a bunch of conservatives get butthurt about it because it's like doesn't have a Crusader night on it. But it's that's happening tomorrow, so we'll see if the strike happens or not. There's always 11th hour negotiations, but regardless, there was a table for union organizing in the theater lobby and about 50 people there, which is pretty decent for 6 p.m. on a Wednesday night. And as one might think, the majority of the crowd skewed young, but it was a very fervent, a very engaged crowd. So the documentary, and for those who are noticing, I am now off script because I haven't finished it yet. I'm thinking about publishing this on Steve's website, stevepulaski.com. Is it .com, Joe, or .org?
It's right.
But either
It's
way,
actually like right below. I know you can't see it, but on the screen that we're hosting, it's right below you. So just point down and be like, you can follow the link. Yeah, there you go. Professional YouTuber right here, ladies and gentlemen.
yeah. But regardless, it was a good documentary. It was 40 minutes long, which is pretty breezy, honestly. And but it still went into a there was a lot of stuff packed into this thing. It quickly went over what it was like for a lot of the union efforts in Buffalo, New York. So the very first unionized Starbucks was in Buffalo, New York.
It's a
Still is in
working
Buffalo, New
city
York.
too.
Yeah, pretty really, really. And it started with a group of three stores, local stores that were planning on unionizing. And it started with a young woman called Casey Moore, who was one of the central salts to start the union and put the plot in motion. According to this documentary, salting in this, or rather, according to this documentary, she is a salt. And in the labor context, salting is the act of joining a job with the specific intent of starting a union. So you're going, it's actually kind of devious, and I'm kind of all for it. So it's less so, hey, I'm joining because I want to be part of this company culture or I want to do the specific job. No, you're joining specifically to start a union and unionize all the workers. And I believe if I remember, this isn't available anywhere to stream. If I so I'm trying to remember from the notes I took while watching the documentary, but according to Moore, she had never been a barista before, if I'm remembering correctly. So she is literally learning how to be a barista while also taking this huge undertaking to basically unionize one of the most corporate stores in America. It's freaking Starbucks in 2021. This all takes place throughout 2021, right? So it's a pretty big deal, and pretty much it spread amongst the local stores. And then what followed, pretty much the rest of the documentary, is showing all the acts of union busting, both direct and also devious at the same time, that Starbucks engaged in. And according to the documentary, Starbucks has been convicted of union busting on several accounts. And it I'm not surprised, honestly. Did anyone really pay for it other than like fines? I don't think so. I feel like I would have heard about that. But regardless, the emotional manipulation. So what happens is that when you intend to unionize, you have to announce to the National Labor Relations Board, the NLRB, which is a direct branch of the executive branch of the federal government, and you have to apply, and your employer has to know that you're doing it as well, because you have to have an election. So it all comes down to an election to unionize whatever store or company that you're a part of. So when Starbucks corporate, caught wind of this, they pulled out a lot of stops. And like I said, emotional manipulation was honestly the most memorable and cringiest part of the whole effort, right? So one of the corporate people, she was a woman in her, I don't know, I'm going to say 40s, 50s, and she showed up the next day after the announcement, and she started like sweeping the floors, right? This is a woman in basically a C-suite position or close to C-suite position, and she's like, oh, she's, you know, mopping the floors, cleaning up around the stores, and talking with the, hey, you know what? We're family. We're here for each other. We don't want to let a union get in the way of each other, right? So this is going full Severance if you've seen that show. It's basically every corporate piece of whatever that you can think of was pretty much going on. According to the documentary, they documented how corporate flew in 300 managers to work these three stores in order to, like, you know, by brushing elbows, uh, um, uh, convince these workers to not unionize. Other devious things, like for instance, there's a fine print here thing. Is the election going to happen between individual stores, so three separate elections, or is it going to be the regional, like Buffalo area? So instead of having to organize individual stores, three each, and maybe one won't vote, but two will say yes. One may say no, but two will say yes. You now have it's an all or nothing affair. So it's like, oh, so now we have to organize like potentially 3,000 individual employees. But thankfully, according to this documentary, or according to other articles I've read, it was individual stores. And eventually, Howard Schultz, you've probably heard, you may have heard that name. He was he had delusions of grandeur to potentially become president in 2020, but that quickly fizzled out. I distinctly remember a Masterclass ad. Do you remember that company, Masterclass, where where he would be like,
Is that the
"Here's how
rap
to run a
song?
business." No,
Oh,
no,
okay,
no.
all right. No, that's something else. Never mind. Keep
Yeah,
going.
it's that company that like shows, like it's basically a video, like, you know, class where it's like, "Hey, I'm Natalie Portman, and I'm going to show you filmmaking." I think that's actually one of them.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. You can
Yeah, yeah, yeah. This
dude,
was
I
big,
remember
like
it, not to be off
pre-pandemic. This
topic.
was big.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
not to be off topic. I remember Kevin Spacey was like the biggest draw they had for like the
Oh
longest time to
yeah.
learn from, and I'm just like, ooh, talk about timing.
Yep.
Because like
I
literally
remember
that
that too.
same
That's
year
really
is
funny.
when everything came out.
No, but anyway, yeah, Howard Schultz, he man, he had a lot of words, and I wrote some of them down. And the one that really stuck out to me is that at one point he was trying to make a final desperate plea to an assembled group of employees who were going to vote, the following day or week. And he basically pitched to them, hey, you know, he said this. Like, I'm paraphrasing, but he said, like, I know what it's like to be poor. I remember being destitute, and what it was like to, be that life, have that life. And again, this is a what, multi-millionaire CEO of a company, and it's like, I remember this. And and then at one point he brought up the Holocaust, because I think his parents or maybe not. That'd be even more cringe if his parents weren't Jewish. But the theater erupted into just absolute hilarity, because it was just so out of pocket and so cringe. But he was like, "Yeah, no, the Holocaust, and we can't be like this." I don't even, honestly, I can't even quote it properly because I would do it injustice. But he did bring up the Holocaust while trying to make a plea to the workers to not unionize. But anyway, after all of that, there's this big dramatic, moment of, will they unionize? Will the vote go through? And it, of course, spoiler, according to the 800 unionized stores now across the U.S., Starbucks did unionize. That Buffalo, New York did unionize. And now here we are 4 years later. So in a closing here. I do think it was a missed opportunity to not show just how grueling a restaurant job can be. Service workers, especially baristas, still have this debilitating stigma of being in an easy position, as if every day was as simple and inconsequential as clerks. This compared to the blue collar America of plumbers, electricians, construction workers, and lumberjacks. But the millennial and Gen Z generation knows firsthand just how ridiculous of an assertion that is. And funny enough, the Starbucks union was one of the first to really take that image, break it, and turn it into meaningful victories for themselves. I would have also personally liked to have seen more time taken to show the minutia of paperwork, signature gathering, letter writing, and other mundane aspects of unionizing, but that's just the amateur journalist in me. This documentary trades realism for just pure vibes and energy and telling the story of this union effort. Again, it's a breezy 40 minutes. It is about as quick and digestible as waiting for your friends at a Starbucks. And Partners, this documentary is first and foremost labor propaganda. Make no mistake about it. It's worker biased, it's union slanted, it's meant to be mass consumed by a wide audience, all in the time it takes to wait for your friend to finally show up to your coffee meeting and begin discussing unionizing your job. And in a world exponentially terrorized by billionaires and their hoarded gold, it may be what's desperately needed. 3.5 out of 4 stars for me, for Partners.
Nice. I will say I was doing some research while you were talking. It seems like Casey Moore did have a podcast or was on an episode of Michael Moore's podcast, I should say, Rumble.
Yeah, they're not related. I did see that. They're not related.
I was wondering the same thing because I typed in Casey Moore and his face was popping up all over the place. I'm like, no shit. Is this? I was like, ain't no way, dude. A nepo baby documentary filmmaker.
Honestly, I'm all for. Yeah, that's the thing. That's the thing about nepo babies and whatever. It's like, hey, you can't choose who you're born to. That's
Yeah,
fine. It's
exactly.
what you
And
do
if
with it
you
that
like what your
matters.
parents are doing, it's like, all right, go for it.
Just acknowledge you had the leg up. That's
Yeah,
fine. And other actors have done it. There's a clip of who's the actress?
Maya Hawk.
Is it Maya Hawk? Where she was
Yeah,
like, "Yeah, no, I admit it. My dad helped me basically get this where I am
yeah.
today." And she was like,
She was
"Okay,
she was
cool."
one she's
She
one
admits
of
it.
them that wears it on her shoulder. She's like not like trying to hide it whatsoever.
Hmm. Yeah, unlike Howard Schultz, who was like, "Yeah, I was poor. I was destitute. I was like you guys. Yeah, maybe you were like us. I don't really know the story, but you ain't us now, and you ain't acting like it,
Margaret
buddy."
Qualley's another one too who has just
I
been
think that's the
adamant.
one I saw. Yeah.
Yeah, she's been adamant about it too. Like, yeah, no, I know.
All
But
right. Do we want to take a break or do you want to come back?
no, we can go straight
Okay.
into
Okay.
it. Yeah, we could talk about this movie about a bunch of workers who should get unionized, the Wayne and Yutani Corp. Um, we're gonna be talking about Predator Badlands here. Dom, may I ask you something? What has been your experience with the Predator movies?
I saw the first one. Absolutely fantastic. A great commentary on toxic masculinity and that era of 80s machismo and how it was basically kind of, while doing it, also deconstructing it at the same time. I saw Predator 2 with Danny Glover. I don't remember it totally, but I remember that movie wasn't horrible, but obviously it doesn't hold a candle to the original. But I would like to see it again. Did not watch any of the Alien versus Predator shit because that just seemed
Good.
like to me like fan fiction, which
Yeah.
I'm for it. I'm for it, but I heard the execution wasn't good, so I don't know. Um, yeah, that's basically Predator for me. I did also rent from Family Video, um, Predator Concrete Jungle for Xbox, the
Oh,
original
dude.
Xbox, and that game was kind of a piece of shit, but it was fun to chop people's heads off as the Predator.
Oh man. Well, like that game actually, Predator Badlands, you do follow a predator as the main character, similar to that game, Concrete Jungle. Predator Badlands is about a predator named Dak, or Deck, I should say. Um, he's trying to prove himself to his father that he is worthy to join their clan, a clan where they believe that you have to basically kill the weakest and only the strongest survive. Um, that is just the way they do it. And in order to prove to his daddy that he is something, he decides to go to one of the deadliest planets on their like in their universe, I should say, or galaxy, whatever it may be. While on this planet, he needs to hunt and kill one of the most dangerous creatures out there. No one has ever survived this planet. No predator even wants to go to this planet. That's how much the predators are afraid of them. But while he's on this adventure, he meets an unlikely ally and begins to learn that maybe going at this alone isn't really the way to do it. Maybe my I shouldn't say predator culture. That just sounds weird. What is it called? The Yaogwai? What was it?
Yapja. I think it's
Yapcha.
Yapja.
Okay. Going forward, that is how I'm going to address. Okay, so to give you context, people, in this movie, we actually get a name for the species. They're called Yautja. And going forward throughout this review, I'm just gonna say Yautja culture instead of predator culture because it just sounds A, more appropriate for the movie we're talking about. B, I don't want to make it seem like something that, that I'm talking about something else when I say predator
That's
culture.
really funny.
um, but the Yautja culture, like he starts to realize there are faults there to how they are trying to handle their thing about going things alone, about the strongest only surviving, and all these other things. It actually has a lot of themes that you can take from that first movie with Arnold Schwarzenegger, and you can kind of look at it similarly here. But to get right off into this review, to kick things off here, I gotta say, man, I don't know if you've been keeping up with the movies lately, because I know you said you only watched the first two, but Dan Trachtenberg, who has basically kind of been like spearheading this franchise now with Prey on Hulu, and I haven't seen the animated movie Killers of Killer, but I was excited for this because I thought with Prey he brought something refreshing to this movie franchise, where it's like after the first Predator, everything kind of just felt like they were trying to be that first movie again. And while that second movie with Danny Glover is it's okay, everything else following it, I always felt like okay, well, I mean, nothing really here surprises me. Even the Robert Rodriguez movie Predators, that one was okay at best. There's a lot of faults to that movie, but at least it was trying to do something different. And then the I think it was Shane Black directed the Predator that came out in 2018. That one's the worst one to me by far. No, wait, actually no, one of the Alien versus Predator movies. But ever since he came out, he's brought new life to this, and I feel like with this movie, I don't know how you felt about it, and we'll get into it more. Right from the get go, I felt like this is so refreshing to see with a franchise that's been from the 80s till now, where it's like they're going to do something we haven't seen done, and that is the Predator is the main character and actually the protagonist of the story and not an antagonist. And we learn actually more about the Alja culture and who these people are, what their home planet looks like, all these types of things. And honestly, there was even a point too. One of my favorite parts of this movie is like probably the first 20 minutes where all the dialogue being spoken is in their language and it's just subtitles on the screen. And just sitting there the entire time, I was thinking, I'm like, holy shit! Like I haven't seen a movie do this since the second Planet of the Apes movie, Dawn of the Planet of the Apes, where it's like the first 20 minutes of that movie is just apes doing hand signs the whole time, and you're reading subtitles, and I'm just thinking to myself like, how fucking refreshing this is to actually like get a movie like this, like a big budget movie like this, and it's like, no, it wants to actually take its time to set up the stakes here and everything and explore something new with this franchise that's been around since forever. If you can't tell, I'm already starting off on a positive. But Dom, what about you, man?
Yeah, when it comes to the Predator, like Predator's modern movies, it's they have a certain level of camp with them, and the Aliens movies too, which I was surprised by with the alien stuff here. But for me, I think this. I think this one, I think this is some peak fucking science fiction that we
Yes.
haven't gotten in a long ass time since at least Dune. So this is some good old like Dune is like cinema, right?
Yeah.
Absolute cinema. So that's like you can't even say that's like special, right?
Yeah.
This is some good old good shit right here.
Yeah.
And it is refreshing simply because we've been in such a in the macro we've been in such a rut with some not so good movies. But yeah, man, we ate good here, and it was so good, felt so good when when we got into the groove of this movie. Because I will say, critique right away. The opening fight scene between the brothers, I think, was dog shit. I think that was
Dude, I was actually getting Black Panther flashbacks to,
oh
when they're
no,
fighting in the
yeah.
the vibranium cave,
Yeah.
Killmonger and Black Panther.
Dude, I just want to say that like you know that every frame of painting YouTube video where it's like it shows you how Jackie Chan shoots his movies and how
Yeah.
they don't do cuts or minimal cuts and they have very well rehearsed scenes by professional martial artists and stuff like that. I'm not saying that every movie needs to be to that level. That's Jackie Chan level. So I get it that not every movie can be that. But this was the opposite of that. This was like the other end of the spectrum. That opening fight scene,
Yeah.
this is the worst thing I have to say about the movie. That opening fight scene truly was dog shit. There was a point, if you go back and watch it, there is literally a point where every single hit is a cut. And I'm like, that's terrible. This is like live
It
action Mulan levels of vomit. If you
it
remember, that's the one thing I remember about the live action
yeah.
Mulan is that opening scene where it's the tiny kid and it's like cutting, 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 cutting. I'm like, what is going on? Please stop. And it was
It
such a bad start.
it really had me concerned because I was like, oh shit. I'm like, please don't tell me this is gonna be every action scene going forward. Luckily it's not. I don't know why it was like that at the beginning. I don't know why the CG also
Was
looked
that
kind of
shot by
off
like another
too.
director? Yeah,
I
was that
that's
shot?
what I'm wondering. I'm like, was this done? Because like immediately following the action scene, I call me crazy, but it became like Shakespearean between two Yaojas, like the brother of Deck, and then when their father shows up, I'm like, hold on, I'm like, this is getting like into some serious shit here. Like I was
Yeah,
just
yeah,
like, and it immediately pulled me in. I kind of wish. Honestly, if I can re-edit this movie, I would just have the opening of this movie just be Deck and his brother talking leading up to that moment
yeah.
where like he's given basically like his opportunity to go to that planet and everything to prove himself. Because I thought the action scene's like cool. I mean, yeah, you want to open up with an action scene, I get it. You're an action movie, it's a typical thing to do. Really, like showcase it. Um, I do think it helps showcase too that how Deck is the weakest, like because his brother just basically wipes the floor with him that whole fight. Like he gets not even a lick on him.
Hmm.
So I get it. Like that was to help like set the stakes there and everything. But I also think the scene immediately following it even just solidifies it more. Um, I gotta say, man, like yeah, this to me is like this is what I've been wanting from all these properties that have been coming back. And it's like, why did we get something like Top Gun, which is like a sequel, remake, whatever the hell those things are called, requel, whatever.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
Legacy sequel. That's what we deemed it
Legacy
as,
sequels.
actually. Like, it felt nice to get a sequel that wasn't a legacy sequel, wasn't a remake. It just wanted to actually expand the world and do something different with it. And while yes, like I didn't bring this up, but the unlikely ally in this movie is Dakota Fanning, who plays it's Thea, right? Because she plays a dual role in this.
Yes, yes.
She plays Thea, who is a Weyland Yutani synth. And if you recognize the name synth or Weyland Yutani, that is because, yeah, that is from the Alien franchise. Because eventually these two are going to cross over, but it feels like they're actually handling it a lot more appropriately this time based on how we've been slowly actually building things with Romulus, Earth, the TV show Alien Earth, and now Predator Badlands, where it's like, hey, like, there's some small crossover, and eventually when we do get a proper AVP movie, it'll be cool to see. But if there's one thing I also liked about that is like how that was all handled, because I know some people's criticisms were, well, how come a xenomorph didn't show up? Why did you need a xenomorph? In fact, to me, the Weyland Yutani Corp being kind of like the villain of this movie, and Berlin, I don't know if you've been watching Alien Earth, but the best thing about Alien Earth is like that's kind of like Aliens Andor, where like they really explore Weyland Yutani as a corporation and make it its
Yeah.
own character and everything, and really go into depth about like how corporations go to war at each other throughout like their like universe and everything. And it's really refreshing to see that be done with the Alien franchise, and then it just fits so seamlessly after watching a show like that. And even if you haven't watched the show, it still works here to where it's like, oh hey, like Weyland Yutani again. It kind of feels more of a character, not just a bland corporation like the later Alien sequels did. This actually fulfills a purpose. It has actually like a great payoff to it as well. But man, I mean, there's so much more I can say about this movie. Bro, we're gonna take our break right now. When we come back, we'll get into some more things, some more positives we have to say, and surprises that I had while watching this movie. Like I heard good things about this movie, but by the time I left it, I was like, damn, this actually might be in my top 10 this year from how much of a great time I actually had watching it. Maybe an honorable mention, maybe top 10. I don't know. I'll have to look back and see what else came out this year and rewatch a few things. But this made a damn good impression of me when I was leaving the theater. But keep it right here on Sleepless with Steve. We'll be right back after our quick sponsored Zoom intermission. One. Back and better than ever. Sleepless without Steve, right here on YouTube. Unfortunately, we had some technical difficulties, as you saw. There was no intermission video like there usually is, but hopefully we'll get that worked out by the next show. But in the meantime, we're here talking about Predator Badlands, Dan Trachtenberg's next film, and his I'm gonna assume he's taking direct control of this franchise as like either a producer or director for future films. Um, Both Dom and I have been showing a lot of praise for the movie and everything. And one other thing I wanted to give praise to is even though like we were talking about the opening to the movie, how like it's shot ugly, the CGI on it doesn't look the best. I gotta say, when we get to this like deadly planet, I was in awe at the design of everything on that planet, from the landscape of it to all the creatures to eventually like how the predator's introduced to every dangerous thing on this planet and how that all comes into play during the third act of the movie. Like it's introduced great, it looks great and everything, and it's also just great writing as well where it's like they're introducing all these things and how they come back later. It's what made me go like this truly actually might be. I know it might be crazy to say. I'm like, but this actually might be my favorite movie of the franchise. Like I know a lot of people love that first one. I know a lot of people do, and trust me, I do as well. But it is like a macho '80s action film and everything.
That
Uh,
deconstructs it. That
it does.
it deconstructs it while being it, which is the rare movie that can nail that balance. And just to go off of that, it's almost incomparable the two.
It
It's a
really
it's a
is. Yeah.
because that first one is
Oh no.
okay. I want you to know that your video glitched, so you literally just disappeared.
I had
Your
the
video
cloak.
stuttered, so you were
I had the
there and then
cloak.
you weren't. Like,
I
yeah.
think my internet like just took a dip there. So the last thing I heard from you was you saying it's a deconstruction of that genre, while also being that when referring to the first Predator movie.
Okay, okay. Yeah, and I just wanted to say that it's whereas the this movie Badlands is like a true modern movie. It feels like that, not just aesthetically, of course, but like how it's structured, how it covers characters. It feels like that, you
Hmm.
know,
Yeah,
or the pacing. Yeah.
there's that. I love the idea too, because like it has a like a thing that I could say about toxic masculinity, which is like the whole thing about Deck
This
being
one
like
does too.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. That's what I was trying to say. Like I was just fumbling my words here. With Deck being like, no, I'm gonna do this on my own. I don't need your help. You're just a tool. I'm gonna like and everything. Oddly enough, he's saying that to a woman as well. It's just like I was just thinking to myself, I'm like, shit, like while the first movie also does kind of go into that, I'm like, this movie actually does as well. And like when I look at the other sequels or, whatever you want to call them, spin-offs, whatever, Prey, Predator 2, Predators, they all follow that same format of that first movie. It's like you meet your hero, he's either part of a group or something. The Predators introduced, it's hunting them down one by one and everything. And how are they going to overcome it? Well, they underestimated them. They're actually the underdog. They learned to adapt or whatever. This one, like with it being like, well, now that our main character is usually what is the antagonist of this franchise, what's going to happen here? And you're actually just really exploring like, hey, how come these guys are like these Yaoja? Why do they go to these planets and really just like do everything like they're doing on their own and they're so cruel and everything? Well, you kind of get a look at their culture and you kind of see why now. It's like, oh man, this culture is all kinds of fucked up. Um, can I also say too, talk about a smart move here on whether it was the director who decided to do this or the studio. Kudos to whoever thought of this. The Predator franchise has been not successful at the box office since that first one. Every movie since then has always made less and less money, hence why Prey was released to Hulu because they didn't want to take a chance of it going to theaters. So kudos to whoever was like, hey guys, I have an idea. Even though like people are liking what we've been doing with the Predator franchise lately, from Prey to Killers, let's make this PG-13 because technically no humans are getting killed in this. It's just a bunch of aliens, and as long as there's no red blood and bones going on screen, we can kill, dismember, and do as much as we want to people, as long as it's green goop coming out of them or that white silk coming out of them, like the synths from the Alien movies.
Honestly, that works so damn well. And it's not like it's a sacrifice
No, because this
to it at
movie
all.
is just as violent as all the other movies. Like,
Yeah.
people are getting their heads sliced open, dismembered, all that stuff. But because it's just not red blood, they can like still keep it a PG-13.
Yeah. And and honestly, it's like, oh yeah, they replaced everyone with synths to avoid that R rating. Nah, man,
No, it fits the story.
this planet, I would only want freaking machines on this one, dude.
Hey,
Just,
no, dead ass. If they had to go there as humans for the Wayland Yutani, they better
I would have been so
unionize.
annoyed.
They better unionize at that point. Like you're telling me we have robot workers that can like take hits and be re-uploaded, and we're sending us.
What was it was two Aliens movies ago, not Romulus, but the one before it, Covenant. They like landed on a planet, like a unknown planet, right?
Yeah.
And they were just in cloaks. They didn't have like respirators or shit. I'm like,
No.
go to
Yeah.
hell.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
They
no
did the.
wonder all you dumb idiots are gonna die. Like,
Yeah, that movie was a disappointment. Like, especially because like Ridley Scott came back for that one. And I was like, oh man. Um, But like yeah, with this one, it's just like that just makes more sense. Like you're saying, like why not send stuff like that to a planet and everything? I swear to God, I hope we don't get like comment in there like, actually, in Alien Covenant, the reason why they had to, it's like we're just saying, all right. Um, but yeah, with Badlands, the I know you had the criticism about the opening. The only other criticism I have besides the opening, um, even though I enjoyed her performance, and the longer she was on screen, I began to grow like more fond of her character and actually really liked her. I got to admit though, when Ellie Fanning was first introduced as Thea, um, I wasn't about it. I felt like it was like the comedy wasn't working as well. Because she's a very comedic relief character. Um, but when she pops in, it feels really forced. It feels like it's a road trip movie. It feels like, okay, like I know Disney owns this stuff now, and this feels like the most Disney part of this movie with how these two are interacting and everything. However, as the longer the film went on and the more we explored Thea as a character, as well as like a cute companion character that gets introduced too, which I thought like, oh, here we go, more Disney stuff. Um, the more actually we explored both that companion character as well as Ali Fanning's character, I started to like turn around on it and go, you know what? No, actually, no. They're actually fully realizing it and playing with this. Also, they have a really cool action sequence involving Ellie Fanning's character. She's basically dismembered in half throughout the whole movie, where she doesn't have her legs and the Predator has to carry her on her back, or Deck has to carry her on her back, I should say. Um, and that's why he calls her a tool, because like she can't really do anything and she's just explaining the planet to him. Um, the way they actually use her legs later on in the movie and everything, it's actually really creative. And that whole climactic sequence, like, it's very rare that I look at action movies and go, yeah, the climax actually was the best action part of the movie. Because most of the time, like, when you get to the climax of a movie, it's kind of like, all right, they just got to stop the guy from destroying the city, save the world, whatever. This just had a whole different stake to it, and it also like was getting really creative throughout, based on what we've seen throughout the movie too.
Yeah. For me, I think that's a little more subjective. For me, it was fine. I do get where you're coming from, though,
Yeah,
but I thought it was all right. In terms of the emotional core of this story, this is a story basically about, again, as in the original Predator film, this is basically deconstructing machismo.
yeah.
You know, taking a swipe at toxic masculinity. And you know, as overplayed as that phrase "toxic masculinity" is, it's done so for a reason. And all I could think of while watching this movie and enjoying it was, man, I hope the podcast bros and their audience watch this. I really hope they freaking watch this, because what is this movie except the lesson for a souped up, roided out, you know, killer of a dude who has to literally, you know, learn how to work with a woman
it
and
it's
learn how to be sensitive and work with others and have emotions,
it's
right?
also
And
funny
learn to,
too that like they
yeah,
bring up the whole alpha mentality in this movie too, and it's just like,
yeah.
oh shit,
It's
like
like,
you guys
hey,
actually bringing this up.
hey, Chad, alpha. It's not just about killing. It's about taking care of people, right? Like Elle Fanning should have just turned to. I don't know if there was a dead on straight shot, but she could have said, she literally could have just said, "You don't have to listen to all those podcasts." You know,
Yeah,
she basically could have just been saying that.
no,
But no, honestly, I'm totally here for it, and I genuinely think I will give this an extra half-star rating on that alone.
But you're so right because like the people who have been rooting against this movie have been those people since the get go. They thought that it was a woman predator in the movie, but you know when it turned out to be a guy, then they all started backpedaling on that and everything. And if you remember too, Prey used to get a lot of shit from these same podcast bros and everything. But when the movie came out and people actually really liked it and everything, then like you had people who were shitting on the movie, and I'm not gonna name what YouTube channels or anything, but they gave her like backhanded compliments like Prey, not as bad as you think it would be, like, you know, as like the title of their review, and it's like, oh fuck you, like, you know, it's just like, come on. But they basically were riding the same wave here, and it's funny to see like them being like this is gonna bomb and everything, and actually this is the most successful the franchise has been since that first movie, and it's gonna be a box office success, making 80 million worldwide on a budget of like I think only 140 million, which like damn, what a good use of that budget too. It shows it too because like I said, like the planet design looks great, but also the practical costume on the Predator, where the only thing I believe that was CG are its little like tonsil like fang things, while everything else
Mhm.
from the hair to the headpiece and armor and everything, that's all practical.
It does, like, also, this isn't even like a critique necessarily, but this movie is bold in the sense that it peels back the layers and the mystique of the Predator,
Yeah,
right? And honestly, that's fine. I think that's totally fine. Simply because how else are you going to portray cult? You think these dudes don't talk to each other? You think they just stand there stoically the whole time and just
yeah.
click? No, they're chatting it up, right? They're talking shit, and honestly, it's still very stoic. But you know, that was the very necessary sacrifice for this specific story that you want to tell. And diving deep into that again, it plays into this cultural thing of, you know, taking pot shots at the male dominated, let's get roided out and just eat nothing but meat. Eat, folks. Hey, fellas, it's okay to have broccoli every now and then. You can have broccoli. It's good.
And
Sorry,
my uncles
continue.
need to listen to you say that because they're trying to do the all meat diet right now, and I'm just like, that's a stupid thing to do. Don't do that. But no, I mean, like, you know, sacrificing that thing that you're saying and letting the predator, like, you know, exploring the alga culture and everything, and like exploring like who these creatures are and everything. It goes back to what Trachtenberg said when he released the movie. If you're just retreading and remaking the same kind of thing over and over, then not only will hardcore fans not like it, but also just any fan of going to see a movie won't like it either. Like that's why he wanted to do a different direction completely with this one. Because like, he just thought to himself like, look, how are we going to win back fans? Are we going to do the same thing again where it's a group of mercenaries fighting this thing, or are we going to do something different? And I think them doing something entirely different and also leaving it open to a potential sequel down the line was the smarter move. Because, like, yeah, I would love to see these two characters show up again in a later installment, whether it's the crossover with the Alien movies or a future Badlands sequel. Um, I don't know if you have anything else you want to add on, and we can get final thoughts right here.
No, other than once this movie really got into the meat of it and through its middle and end, I was all in.
Yeah.
I was all in. It was a very rocky. I guess I'll go is that despite rocky beginnings, well, that's Sylvester Stallone, but despite its iffy beginnings, this movie is not. Honestly, I don't even know if it's worthy to be called a Predator movie. It's kind of not. It is, of course, but it's in a class of its own. And but its main thematic messages, I am so happy to see in a really solid, a really good old good one sci-fi flick. I think I'm gonna have to give this 3.5 out of 4 stars.
It is also 3.5 out of 4 stars for me as well. The longer this movie went on, the more and more it kept winning me over. Another big win over too was that it's only an hour and 45 minutes, which is a big boost as well. Where it's like, oh my god, like we got in, we got out, we explored exactly the amount of stuff we needed to do, and like it got in, it told its story, and I had a blast with it. Also, got to say too, one of the best title card drops of a movie this year as well, along with The Long Walk, where like you're with Deck the entire time. He's crashing into this planet where it's like he takes his escape pod out of the ship. There's like some pterodactyl thing that's coming in to swoop in and kill him. He crashes down, climbs up. You see almost every creature out in the distance killing each other, and boom, title
Hmm.
card. I was like, oh yeah, okay, this movie's gonna fuck. I got you. Yeah, 3.5 out of 4 stars. Excited to see where this franchise goes next, whether it's the next installment with the Alien movies or whatever. While with Disney, what they're doing with Marvel and Star Wars is it's iffy, it's half and half, whatever you want to say. Like for every good thing we get something that's just a cash grab or just playing to the fans, whatever you want to say about it. It is nice to see that so far with the Predator and Alien franchise, they are 4 for 4 on everything. Where it's like, hey, everything here was really creative so far, and you guys are really taking. It seems like you're taking more of your time and creativity with this franchise, uh, and you're kind of just using Marvel and Star Wars, which I really wish they would do it with that as well. But they're using that as like, hey, this is where we'll play it safe, and then over here is where we can get creative and do some cool storytelling. So yeah, 3.5 out of 4 stars for me.
All right, there we go.
Yeah. So we will be back next Wednesday. We haven't officially confirmed what will we be reviewing. It could be Frankenstein. It could be Keeper. We don't know. We're waiting for Steve to give us a confirmation. But just stay tuned here on Sleepless with Steve every Wednesday from 6:30 to 7:30 Central Standard Time. And we'll see you next week here for whatever we review. But we'll be back here at the same time, same place, right here on YouTube. Thanks, everyone.